the vital role that campaigns and elections play in the battle of ideas. Find out about that and more in today's edition of Life Matters. Brian Johnston is the Western Director of the National Right to Life Committee. He has served in many capacities while advocating for innocent lives, as California Commissioner on Aging, as Chairman of the California Pro-Life Council, on the board of the National Legal Center for the Medically Dependent and Disabled. And now here's our host, Brian Johnston.
Hello and welcome back to Life Matters. We're your program on the right to life, on what it really is. It's a very simple, straightforward, philosophical statement. It's actually a statement of political philosophy, which our founding fathers used in establishing our entire political system, and the laws that govern our nation, or should govern our nation. They're all drawn from natural law. And if there is no such thing as natural law, then there's no such thing as a right to life, and we've all got better things to do. But in fact, there is a God-given right to life. The government didn't give you your right to be alive, but the government does have a duty to protect the lives of the innocent, the lives of those that can't protect themselves. That's what we talk about here. We want to equip you. And as you know, if you listen to Life Matters, there's so many aspects. There's so many important things going on around us that we tend to forget because there's a battle of ideas to confuse people's minds and to confuse them about what really matters in life, what really matters in society and in the law. That battle is a real battle, and it's a battle for your mind and for the mind of your loved ones and for our culture and our laws. We're in election times right now, and it's an exciting election. We're going to prepare you again for things you're going to see on your ballot. We're one of the few organizations in the state. We're the California Pro-Life Council. We're the state affiliate of the National Right to Life Committee, and we work as a team with the affiliates in the 50 states and with National Right to Life, non-sectarian. That means you don't have to be my personal theology, and people don't have to be your personal theology in order to stand for innocent lives. We want to make sure that the laws are once again restored, laws that'll protect the innocent. Wow, so many things going on. As you know, Amy Coney Barrett has been appointed to the Supreme Court, but there's things happening right now, and many of you have had in your hand now for the past few days your ballots. What tends to happen, we're going to talk about ballots because a lot of people will say, I'm pro-life. They get the ballot, they vote for Donald Trump, and then they look down at the dozens of other decisions that they have to make, and their eyes glaze. A lot of people will either guess, sometimes they'll just leave them blank, but they've missed the most important part of their ballot. And that's what we're going to talk about today. How your vote is very important, and the more local you vote, the more powerful your vote is. We're going to talk about the teaspoon theory. You'll understand. We're also going to talk about the one-question test, something that you can do, something that you can implement to change your neighborhood, your city, your community, and your culture. But you have to do it. So we're going to get into this now. As I said, many people have ballots in front of them. They know a couple of the names, but after that, they're lost. If you go to californiaprolife.org, you can see all of the ballots information for the whole state. Every single ballot has the option to make laws for voters. That's right. Because we have direct democracy, I think it's a questionable thing, but it makes every voter a lawmaker. We did several programs on the ballot propositions, and you can go back and listen to those. So every single ballot has ballot propositions, 12 of them. So listen to Sheila Green, California Pro-Life Vice President, and myself as we examine 6 of them in depth. And we're not going to redo that now, but go to lifematters.life. You can hear that podcast. Go to californiaprolife.org and you can download a sheet that explains in detail each ballot proposition. You see, we want you to understand. Some people just say, oh, just tell me yes or no, yes or no. That doesn't really help you in the long run. We want to help you vote with understanding, so you understand the reason that you're pro-life, and that you understand the reason you vote the way you vote. And so our job is to equip you. So californiaprolife.org, click on Elections 2020, and then you can click on the ballot propositions. There's a sheet that goes through each one. I'm going to make it easy. Of the 6 that directly impinge on the right to life, that's 14, 15, Prop 16, 18, 19, and 23. They're all no. But go ahead and find out why, because that understanding will equip you for the future. But we're suggesting no. And of all those ballot propositions, me personally, I would only vote yes on one, and that is Proposition 22. And I'm going to tell you my personal reason. It's actually pro-life, but it has to do with transportation and Uber and Lyft. And what's happened is that the state legislature is controlling any type of work in the state. They want people to be unionized if they work for a company, and they want everybody to work for a company, to not be entrepreneurial. As you know, Uber and Lyft encourage people to, on their own schedule, be entrepreneurial and make money on their own with their own cars. And that's a threat to certain people in transportation, but particularly to the left. And on the life issue, the reason is that the left uses government and employees, and in particular government employees, to centralize and control people. Government employees, unions, all of them are pro-abortion because at their heart, they've been taken over by those who are collectivists, those who believe in groupthink. You've listened to our program before and you understand that the political world of groupthink, of collectivism, of progressive Marxist worldview says that people should be grouped. By controlling certain groups, you can control the political world. And the unions have become entirely committed to that leftist ideology and to abortion on demand, which has become an essential element of progressive leftism. So in some ways, I'm not saying to vote yes because this is an anti-union type. I'm telling you the fact, and I'm doing it personally, is my personal perspective on this. Unions have become willing and complicit tools of radical leftism. And particularly in California, speak to anyone who understands the history of California politics. This is not John F. Kennedy's Democrat Party, my friend. These are radical, jackboot, statist control freaks. And so of all the propositions, that's the only one that has a glimmer of support. I personally, these are my personal recommendations now. California Pro-Life gave its official positions in other programs. But Prop 22, from my perspective, is the only one that deserves a yes. Every ballot in the state of California is going to have those ballot propositions. Go to californiaprolife.org, see where it's spelled out. We're going to come back. I told you we're going to talk about the teaspoon theory and the one-question test. When we come back, we're going to equip you to vote with understanding locally. That's where your power is. Your vote is very, very powerful because lives matter, and the law directly impacts the right to life.
Life Matters continues after this.
Hi, this is Brian Johnston, host of Life Matters. I want to remind you about this election and how everyone is going to be voting, not just for the president, but all the way down the ballot. Do you know that Planned Parenthood is targeting your school district to put in school-based clinics? Unless there's somebody good on the school board, they will. Find out who the good candidates are locally. Go to californiaprolife.org, californiaprolife.org, election 2020. It's your local candidates that have the most ability to stop Planned Parenthood, and that's where your single vote has the most power. Just 10 votes can swing a school board election. Find out more at californiaprolife.org, prolife.org. Find out who the good candidates are. Go to californiaprolife.org. Thank you for learning and standing for life.
And now back to more Life Matters with Brian Johnston.
Okay, well, we're back. I told you we're going to talk about the power of your vote. We're talking about the fact that many people have a ballot in their hand right now and don't know what to do with it. Well, we're going to guide you. Go to californiaprolife.org, elections 2020. And it's not just the top of the ticket. A lot of people, a lot of our friends in California, I work with many groups, they'll tell you who's good on the congressional level in California, and we hope to take some congressional races back. We're going to win back some of the congressional seats that were taken in the last election cycle. But the real power of your vote is further down the ballot. So I'm going to tell you about the teaspoon theory, and you're going to get it. You know, when you vote for president, particularly here in California, it's a good thing to vote. And because of his commitment to principles, I think your vote for Donald Trump is pretty solid. But in fact, it's a drop in the ocean. For the millions of votes that are going to be cast, you still need to cast your vote and do support Donald Trump for president. But then, as you look at your ballot, maybe some of you are looking at your ballot right now, there's so many other names. And there's going to be members of Congress. There's going to be members of the state legislature, the state Senate and Assembly. And then it keeps going. County supervisors on many people's ballots. Mayors on many people's ballots in cities throughout California. City councils. And then, what I'm really going to underscore, local school boards. And that includes not just the school districts for elementary. There's junior college school boards. There's various districts that control whole counties and then districts that control particular communities. These are very important and powerful positions. Many pro-life people ignore that to their loss. And I'll explain why. You see, that drop in the ocean for the president, it's important. But when you find a member of Congress, and of the 53 congressional districts in the state, we have a huge state, there's only one member of Congress that you're going to be able to vote for. Do find out who's pro-life and vote for them, him or her. But that now is a drop in the swimming pool. It's powerful. It's much smaller than the ocean. But that's what it is. So vote. And the more people who vote for a good member of Congress, the likelihood is most of those that end up being pro-life votes will help that member of Congress. And maybe there's other folks also supporting that person. But then as you go down, you have more power because at the lower level, your vote for a member of the assembly, well, that's just a drop of water in a gallon of water. Now that can influence, but you still need a lot of other people in that assembly district. But your vote goes so much further. If you vote for a supervisor, or let's just say a city council, and I think you're seeing what's going on, the vote is less diluted. Now as you vote, your vote is a drop of water in a mug of water. It'll flavor that cup. If 3 or 4 of your friends decide they're going to vote for a particular candidate, that's several drops. That will flavor that cup. And of course, it's well worth it at every level. But as you get down, all the way down to school board, these districts can be very small. And you're going to hear stories that are true of pro-life individuals, heroic individuals. One is an old friend of mine that passed away, Mike Spence. Some of you met him. He ran for school board in West Covina, and he ended up becoming mayor of West Covina. But I want to tell you some of his stories because your vote for school board, and I have to remind you, Planned Parenthood wants your school board, your local school board. In December of 2019, Los Angeles County Board of Education voted in support of Planned Parenthood and gave them money to open health clinics in 50 Los Angeles County high schools. 50. And Planned Parenthood sold it as a wonderful thing. There was no one on that school board to say, well, wait a second, that sounds like a great gift. Oh, you know, the school boards they're going to be benefited because they'll take care of these kids' health. It'll help parents. They won't have to worry. The schools already feed the kids. So, gosh, the job for parents is getting less and less. But no one asked the significance of what that decision was. There was no one on that board to say, well, thanks for this gift, but are parents going to have any say? Will parents have the right to know the medical treatments you're offering? Or that you might refer the child for an abortion? Are they going to know that? You know, these people don't know the history of your child, your medical history. You know that personally. You know who their doctors have been. When a third party comes in, this is extremely dangerous and extremely wrong in terms of government principles. The job of the school board is not to protect the state's authority to take your child away and influence them. The job of the school board is to have oversight and protect the parents' rights to see their children raised with knowledge. There's not a lot of that anymore in a lot of schools. But the authority of the parents is robbed if you don't have good people on school board. Your vote will be a drop in a teaspoon when it comes to school boards. And it won't take too many votes. Mike Spence, when he first ran for school board in West Covina, he went to bed that night and he had lost. He had lost. And he was dejected, but when he woke up in the morning, he won. by 3 votes. The counting had continued. I'm sure he was glad that whoever that third vote was, that's significant. So that's why we take the time to make sure that you understand, and we need your help locally, because we can't go to every community. I have people call me regularly from Pomona or Blythe or Eureka, and they're looking at their ballot and they say, well, who should I vote for? If you haven't taken the initial effort, I can't go to Eureka. I can't go to Del Norte County and figure out. I can't go to Pomona. You're there. And there's research that has been done at CaliforniaProLife.org. We can show you who in your community has taken the time and where there's good candidates all the way down to school board. Planned Parenthood wants your school board. Amy Coney Barrett will not be able to remove those clinics from the LA County schools, Planned Parenthood's clinics. That's not going to happen. The president won't be able to do it. Your local assemblyman can't do it. You haven't been thinking locally and you've let Planned Parenthood in. Think locally. You can make a difference. Just a few votes make a difference. Later on, when Mike Spence ran for city council, and that's the other reason you want to look at these down ballot races. Again, go to CaliforniaProLife.org/elections 2020. Yes, we'll talk about the president. We'll talk about the vice president who just debated this last week. Yes, but we're going to talk about Congress and Assembly and Senate. We've always done that. But you really need to look locally if you want to take back your state. Because if you take back a community, as we go community by community, we can take back our state, and that is happening. And a lot of it is because people are waking up, and I think Donald Trump had a lot to do with that. But we've been saying this for a long time. We've been standing for life for a very long time. And many people think it was just about their religion they need to stand up. No, they need to stand up about the civic process and how it really works, and what are good laws and what aren't good laws. And these local school board and city council races make a lot of difference. Many cities give grants to Planned Parenthood because Planned Parenthood comes and makes a pitch to the board, and the city council thinks, well, this is great. This is going to help our kids. This is health providing. And they don't understand who Planned Parenthood really is. If there's one member of that city council to ask that question, it can change everything. So you need to elect school boards, city councils. I told you Mike ran for city council, the city of West Covina. A couple of years after his initial school board flurry, he went through that and got elected. Thwarted Planned Parenthood at every turn. When he ran for city council of West Covina, they ran people against him. The left was terrified, but he ran. And again, on election night, he lost by 40 votes. But the counting wasn't done, and now he was understanding that's important. And it's really true. In his particular case, in the second day of counting, they found a bag that hadn't been counted. It turned out that bag was from his own precinct. And so, amazingly, since he was an effective candidate, a lot of those votes were for him. And not only did it make up the 40-vote deficit, it put him 10 over. And he won city council, went on to become mayor. That's where you get legislators. Many of the legislators in the California legislature didn't start as assembly members or state senators. And many people who run for Congress actually get their start in local politics. You want to help people learn at that point. If Planned Parenthood is the only one teaching them about caring for children, and you want to lobby them in the Assembly or the Senate, you're not going to be able to bring them back, not easily, because they not only have been taught by the progressive leftist Planned Parenthood ideology, they've made commitments. And to undo that is very difficult. All politics is local. All politics is local is an old phrase from Tip O'Neill, but that was a saying of Karl Rove as well. You need to understand the power of your vote locally. Finally, I told you we're going to have stuff for you to do. We have Vote Life cards. If you go to CaliforniaProLife.org, they're little 3x3 cards. They're really sweet. It has a picture of an unborn child. It says if she could vote, she would want to know who had been rooting for her. You? Do you root for her? Or really, do you want to know who has been rooting for her? And then on the back, it has a direct link. You can go, it has a QR code for a smartphone. You can go and find out in your local community. We have the whole state divvied up, and where people have helped us in many counties, In many counties, I believe 18 counties, people have taken the time. We've been asking them to survey local candidates, and they've done that work. A lot of people don't want to do that work. So you can go and find out on your local ballot, californiaprolife.org. You can actually order up some of these Vote Life cards to give to your friends at church. If you're not meeting at church, that's okay. Give out these cards wherever like-minded people of faith gather, and they can get information all the way down the ballot where your vote can stop Planned Parenthood in your community. It's very, very important. So that's californiaprolife.org, elections 2020. Find out more information. Get your local information there. Make sure you understand the power of the local vote. That's how you take a community back. And by taking communities back, that's how you take a state back. And we're going to do that. We'll be right back after this.
You're listening to Life Matters.
Are you willing to step up to be a lifeguard? We're asking you to consider becoming a Life Matters lifeguard. On Life Matters, we cut to the depths of this cultural battle of ideas that has robbed America of its core values and robbed the innocent of their right to life. Anything you can pledge is appreciated. But if you pledge $19 a month, we will make you part of the Life Matters lifeguard team, getting you the important tools and dynamic information to help save lives and encourage others in understanding the lurking dangers in today's deadly cross-currents of culture. Your pledge helps us with our costs of broadcast. It keeps the full understanding of the right to life going out over our numerous radio stations and also facilitates the important podcast that carries even more programming. Please go to the front page of the Life Matters website and click on the donate button. Your donation is deeply appreciated.
And now back to more Life Matters with Brian Johnston.
Welcome back to Life Matters, your program on the right to life, on the culture that emanates from that very important idea, because the whole culture has emanated from that, and we enjoy the riches of that culture. So, I'm sure you may have other questions for California Pro-Life. Go to californiaprolife.org/elections 2020, and you'll see it there. It's pretty prominent as you come to our landing page. If you want to help us out, that's great, because a lot of these things have costs. Doing radio, doing the printing, doing this information takes work. I'm a volunteer, and we have basically volunteers. We do have other folks that help us as contractors, but they don't get paid what they deserve. And the fact is we squeeze the widow's mites. We know that people who give to us want to make a difference, and that's what we want to do with our funds. So if you can, go ahead and support us there for these projects. You can indicate your support for particular projects, and you can order up these Vote Pro-Life cards. Get them out to your friends from church. The other thing we're going to ask you to do is the old phone tree, but use your email system. Send the link to the people you go to church with and urge them to send it to others. If you're not attending church now because the government will not allow you to attend the church, you can still communicate. You know, the church means the people. It's actually the people of God. The church isn't really a building. It's people who believe in God. That's the real meaning of church, the ecclesia. And so you know them. Use your email. Actually, Facebook is at war with the Life Message, so it's not always the best, but go to your Facebook friends and PM them, private message them, with the link to the local voter guide all the way down the ballot. Yes, we want to help the president. Yes, we want to help certain members of Congress. Yes, Assembly and State Senate. But if you're not working in your community, now I had mentioned the one question test. Here's something you can do right now. Maybe this is the first time you've heard any of this. Maybe you're looking at your ballot and you have no idea, and we couldn't find anyone in your particular county. Let's say you're in Fresno County. We got a few in Fresno, but we needed so many more. And you look and someone's running for school board. This is what you can do real quick. One question test. You look at their name, Thomas Smith, school board. Go to Facebook or Google them. They're going to have a campaign website. You're going to have a way to contact them. You can ask them the simple one-question test. You call them up and you're friendly. Hi, Tom. I'm in your district. I'm interested in your campaign. They like hearing that, by the way. They really like that. See, I just had one question. Planned Parenthood has targeted schools, and they want to be free to give medical treatment and even refer for abortion without parents' knowledge or consent. How do you feel about that? Just be silent, let them answer. If they want to use weasel words, if they do anything, you just lay it out. When you find out, let us know, and we will post them. There's still time left. People are still voting now. If you go to CaliforniaProlife.org, you can see the county slates. You can see the regional slates. We're trying to go all the way down locally. If Tom says, yes, I'm pro-life, I believe the schools are there to protect the children and the parents' authority over their own children. I'm not going to let Planned Parenthood in. Well, you just made a pro-lifer. You could have changed history because he may go on to be an assemblyman and a congressman, and he's going to understand these principles. But even if he refuses to answer, you've put him on guard that they're coming. And when they do bring their presentation, he knows, hey, if I go with Planned Parenthood, there's people in my town that aren't going to like this. You have accomplished a lot with that one question. So use the one question test. We talk about it at CaliforniaProlife.org. Ask that question, give us their answer, document it that they answered this way, and we'll make it known to pro-life voters in that district. So go to CaliforniaProlife.org, Elections 2020, and look for your county, look for your region if need be, because again, some places we had to regionalize. But if we have local candidates, we post them. It's your involvement that changes your community. But it's not just involvement willy-nilly. A lot of people wait until Planned Parenthood has already established a school-based clinic, and they'll go down and hold signs in the street and complain loudly. And you know what? You give the strong impression that you are kooky, that you're out of touch. If you actually beforehand, when people are running for that same office, if you've talked to them then, and in particular, if you've helped them, that's what Planned Parenthood does, they're likely to stand with you. If you go up afterwards, and particularly if you make it about not policy, but your theology, and that somehow they're evil and wrong, the likelihood of them going along with what you'd like has dropped. So don't make this about your personal theology. Make it about the specifics of policy. And it's easy to do if you understand those policies and how our enemies work. Our goal at Life Matters and at California Pro-Life is to equip you to understand the battle of ideas and the battle for life, because lives matter and the law is designed to protect innocent lives. Go to CaliforniaProlife.org, elections, find out what you can do locally. It's CaliforniaProlife.org.
Life Matters is a production of the California Pro-Life Council, the state affiliate of National Right to Life.